Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll go ahead and get started. Please let us know if you have trouble seeing the monitor or uh, if you have trouble hearing us. So welcome to Women Tech Makers' first online virtual meetup. We're really excited about this, and we also have some exciting news that we'll talk about in the presentation. So first off, I want to say thank you to ValleyWorks and / Bay Valley Tech. They were going to let us use their space, but unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, we were not able to use the space and we did it online. But I did want to talk a little bit about them. So ValleyWorks is a co-working space, and Bay Valley Tech is the Code Academy. So if you have questions about it, be sure to check out bayvalleytech.com to learn how you can join their coding academy. Okay, so host is myself today. Amy, I see, is also on. Amy's a Google Developer Group organizer or co-organizer along with myself. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free to ask on the chat. And also, if you have questions about anything throughout the whole presentation, make sure to use the chat for that. And I'll be monitoring that during the whole presentation as Lourdes, our speaker, is presenting. So the code of conduct is pretty much just be excellent to each other. So make sure when you're on the chat just to be respectful and excellent to each other. And then how do you stay involved? You can follow Women Tech Maker on Facebook, Instagram. We also have a Slack channel. If you're interested in that, you can private chat me on here and send me your email and I'll add you to the Slack channel.
I need to be added. I'm not on the Slack channel.
So we'll add Lourdes today as well. We also just launched our website, so it's wtmmodesto.com, and we'll be updating that as well as time goes on and we start hosting more events. So there is a channel on the Slack, or is that called a channel? Another channel on the Slack channel. It's about ideas for Women Tech Maker. So you can share ideas of workshops or sessions, speakers that you want to see hosted from Women Tech Maker. So we do have some giveaways. This was our little surprise. We have 2 giveaways. One will be 2 mugs from the Taste Studio, and the other is a $40 gift card for Food Fix. Both are local businesses, so we're trying to support local businesses by giving away some of their items. And then we'll do a raffle at the end of the presentation, so those who are still on will get to participate in that. And
hopefully
then we'll, hopefully everybody. And then we'll announce that at the end. So thank you, and I'll let Lourdes introduce herself, and then we'll get started.
Hi, so my name is Lourdes Ovando. I am a software developer. I've been working with SQL and working with data for about 10 years now, and so I'm very comfortable with SQL, and I'm excited to share with you the foundations of what I've learned over the years. We're going to switch over to my slides now.
Yeah, so we're going to switch over now. So make sure if you have questions to ask in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that. As Lourdes is setting that up, if you guys want to share in the chat anything about yourself, what you're interested in, maybe why you're here.
Any comments in your chat?
This is, so this is not only for women. So Women Tech Maker is meant to empower women in technology, but that part of that comes with everybody, right? Everybody has to help with that. So thank you for asking that question. But everyone is welcomed here. Good question.
Thank you.
Awesome, yeah. So Christina said that she's really excited to have local support since she's just getting started. That's always something really important and something the Central Valley lacked for a long time, but is really growing. So thank you for sharing that. Jonathan said, I'm a man, I'm here. I hope that's okay. Sorry to crash the party. You're not crashing the party. We're glad you're here. Okay, so I'll hand over to Lourdes now.
Okay, so we can get started with SQL. Okay. All right, so our agenda for today is we're going to cover, we're going to define what is SQL, a few of the basic concepts for SQL. Then we're going to look at different ways that SQL can be used. Then we're going to go into actual writing code. We're going to cover create, insert, update, and delete, which are some of the most basic operations that are done with SQL. And I do have the slides posted on my GitHub, so that's the URL right there.
It's fine. Okay. We'll share it in the comments later.
Okay, so what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. So SQL is an actual language, and it's the language that lets you communicate with a relational database. It's really pretty much the only way to actually communicate with the database itself. So with it, you're gonna run commands so that you can access data and so that you can manage the data and the database that it's stored in. So relational database. A relational database is the way that you organize tables. The relationship is the organization of the tables is predefined. So for example, here I have a really small table with the customer ID, first name, last name. Every record in that table is going to fit into those columns. So you can't have a new record with a column that doesn't exist in that table. You won't be able to insert it into it. There are other databases that do handle scenarios like that. They're called NoSQLDB. But we won't be focusing on that today. Today we're going to focus on just the relational database where the format is already predefined, and relationship between tables means that, for example, this customer ID, I can then link it to another table and in a sense relate it to another table by the customer ID, by some form of ID. It doesn't have to be a customer ID, any kind of ID. And then a table is, again, just the structure of columns and rows. The columns are the fields. It's very similar to Excel, like fields and rows. And each row is a record.
So does anyone else have a hard time remembering which one is the row and which one is the column? Let's hear it in the chat. Okay, and is everybody familiar with that concept of column and row? Okay, so let's move forward. Yeah.
Okay,
cool.
So the commands that we're going to be looking at today are going to be create, select, insert, update, and delete. The SQL commands are categorized. I believe there's 4 different categories, but the main ones are DML and DDL. So you'll hear these terms a lot. DML is data manipulation language. So this is all of the commands that are used to pretty much view the data from the tables. The other one is data definition language, and those commands are used to create the table, create the structure of the database. Gosh, and these are my first 5 years of working as a data analyst. I primarily just stick to DML. There's also reserved words. So this is just the Microsoft T-SQL version of a relational database. And as you can see, there are several keywords that are reserved. The ones that we're going to be looking at today are, again, these are the commands that we're going to use. And then under each one, I kind of listed which keyword we're going to. Okay, so what can I use SQL for? You can use SQL to store data into a database. You can retrieve data from a database, modify and transform data, and then you can also use the DDL to to manage the actual database structure itself.
So what does DDL stand for? Sorry.
You know, I think I just used the wrong one. Oh, no, yeah. Okay, so DDL again is data definition language.
Okay.
And those are the commands that are used to format, to create the tables, to create the structure of it, of where you're going to put the data into. Okay, so the functionality of SQL that you use can range from using SQL all day to just view data, all the way to, like I said, creating and designing the tables, store procedures, really doing a lot more programming with it. It's a huge range. And then the jobs that come along with that range there's so many out there. So a data analyst is going to be mainly just viewing the data, finding patterns in the data, visualizing it. A data engineer is going to be getting data from different sources and then combining it into one source for the data analyst to make it easier for the data analyst to just view the data, and also creating new fields and new data elements. A data scientist is going to use SQL differently. They're going to use it to create machine learning models to do predictive analysis. A developer is going to use a SQL in a completely different way because they're going to be, instead of reading the data, so the first three jobs are going to be reading the data and doing something with the existing data. Developer is going to be putting the data into the database. So what they're doing is they're creating tables, creating records, updating and deleting records. And then a database developer is going to be specialized in actually designing the relational database. They do a lot of the programming, the more advanced programming inside the database. So lots of different opportunities with SQL.
Because you can even use it like in other jobs, not just those specific data analyst, data developer, data engineer. There's a lot of other fields that require the knowledge of a database. So someone here said database administrator.
Oh,
that's a
yes,
good one.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so there's also different relational databases. The one that I've used most of my career has been Microsoft. The syntax is slightly different as you work with different relational databases, but the concepts are the same. Well, they're similar. And then, okay, so for our demo today, we're going to be using SQL Fiddle so that we don't have to actually download a database. And let me just show you what SQL Fiddle is. It's just a playground where you can enter SQL on this side and then kind of view what you've entered so far without having to have an actual database installed on your machine. Okay, so let's write some SQL. So the very first one that we're going to look at is create. Okay, so create table. Like I said, we're going to be using the Microsoft T-SQL version of a relational database. And if you go to the documentation, this is what they have for how to create a table. They have a simple version of the syntax as well as a full version. You can do a lot to customize your table. But since this is the intro, W3 Schools does have a much simpler version. And okay, so our use case for today is we're going to be creating a relational database for an application that is going to be used at a bakery. And one of the first tables that we need is a customer table. So our customer table is going to contain first name, last name, email address, phone number, and city. And I've already created a SQL Fiddle that has the table created. So has anyone ever used SQL Fiddle before?
You guys can answer in the chat if you've used it.
No.
So no, it looks like they're pretty new.
Oh, okay. So we'll just go over the basics. Here, you can pick your database that you want to work with. On this screen here is where you write your SQL that's going to either create tables or insert data into tables. And then on this side, you're going to run your SQL to view the data. So like I said, I've already created this one. So we can add another field to it. We can add state. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. In order to create a table, the main keywords that you use, create table, and then you call it whatever you want to call it. The other thing that you need is the fields. So you name the fields whatever you want to name them, and then you give them a data type. The data types are also located on the Microsoft website, and you can just pick just based on what data type that you need. Typically, I use varchar, date time if I need a date. Those are the most common ones. Int if it's an integer. There's also Boolean. Okay, so we're just gonna add one more field, which is state, and we're just gonna say varchar. You pick the length with varchar. Okay, so we're gonna build the schema. And then if you come over here to browser, you can see the schema, the table that it created and what it looks like. In order to view data in the customer table, which we don't have any data in there yet, but you would go here, type in your select statement, which we'll go over, and then you would execute it. I'm executing it now. There's nothing in there because the results would show up here, but they don't because we don't have any data in there yet. But that's basically the create statement. So then we're also going to need a product table, and we're going to need an order table. And again, I've already created the SQL Fiddle that has those tables created.
Yeah, and you guys can do anything else, right? Like anything more creative. So if you like music, you can do something related to that. If you like art, make something that you like so it could also be fun at the same time that you're learning.
So how would we create a music table? What would be the syntax for that?
What do you guys have ideas? How would you structure a database for music? Would you do it by artist?
So if we were creating the artist table.
Genre, that's a good one.
Oh, genre. Okay.
Genre.
How do you spell that?
Artist. Genre. Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, so here we're creating our genre table, and we need some data elements. So title. I don't think titles go over 100 characters. I could be wrong. What happens if you set it to 100 and your title goes over 100? I believe you get
I'm
error.
sure there is some. Oh no, genre no. But for like album title, yeah, some of them are probably pretty long.
What else goes with genre? What would you see in it?
I think that's probably another okay. One. Some people have songs, album, and some of those fields in there would be like for album. Sharon said date release would be a good one, or release date.
Release date. So
yeah.
Release date.
So That would be
and
more
that would
for
be a date time on the data type.
yeah.
So here we have one little table with 2 fields in it, but that's how we would create it.
Yeah, so now there you created a table with 2 fields for genre. It's pretty cool.
And if you were to look at it, here's our genre table. This is the structure of the table.
Cool.
And like I said, with the roles that typically are creating the tables, it's either going to be a developer, a database developer, or a software developer. Data analysts don't typically create, at least I don't typically create tables when I'm working as a data analyst. Okay. So that was create, not too complicated. Okay, now we're gonna take a look at insert, update, and delete.
So maybe if you guys want to share your favorite genre of music so we can add that to the table.
To the music table?
Yeah.
You know, this one has the, should we change it?
It's up to you, but there's some good ones. So
Yeah. Okay.
EDM, alternative, reggae. Can you guys hear our music in the back?
Let me go back to this one then. Let me create, I'm just gonna kill.
We have some lo-fi music on.
I'm gonna kill our bakery. And
Yodeling.
and we're gonna go back to music. So, okay, if we're gonna do a database of music, we're gonna create a table, which, let's go with album.
Okay.
Album?
Just ask them to put album.
Oh,
yeah.
Album?
They're putting a genre in
Oh,
there.
genre, yeah, okay. You know, let me just copy the one I already have. Okay, well, we kill the tables here.
You can get on. There you
go. Okay, so.
Reggaeton. Oh, I like that one.
Okay, so let's add that in there. I do need to cheat a little for my insert code.
So now
okay,
you're inserting data?
Yeah, so now we're going to insert data into the table. And the keywords that you need for that is insert, into, and then the name of the table. So we're going to insert into genre. Did I spell it correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then we need to list, okay, so it's insert into genre, and then you have to parentheses, and then within there you put all of the columns. So we have title.
And do you include the bracket or?
The bracket is optional.
Oh, okay.
It'll work without it. So the bracket, it's a preference. If you write your column names with a space like that, then you need to have you can either do the brackets or you can do single quotes.
Cool.
But I'm just used to writing my column names with the underscore, so I don't need the brackets. So then once you have the list of all of the columns that you're going to insert into, because you can enter a record without entering into all of the columns. If you have a table with 100 columns, you could insert it with only 3 or 4, or as many as you want. The order does matter. So
it does matter?
It matters in terms of once you're adding the values.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going to add the values. So if I put release date where I put title, then it won't work.
Yeah.
So it has to be in the order of the way that I ordered the fields in here. Okay. So title is a string, and okay.
So the first one,
what you say?
yeah. So let's go. Okay. So EDM, that's an easy one.
EDM. Probably EDM. And
We'll just,
release
can we
date.
just do a year? I don't know what year EDM became popular, or 2000. I'm gonna guess like 2000.
Should we switch this to year? Let's do a year. And
Yeah.
instead of date time, we'll just do
I'm not a music expert, but we'll just do dummy data. We'll say it was popular, started in 2000. If anyone
That
else
sounds about
wants to
right.
chime in and correct us, you can. Another one, or you want to do just one?
Let's do one, and then
Okay.
let's take a look at it. Because I switched, I got rid of my release date column, replaced it with year, and didn't update it. Okay, so now we have a table with title and year. We're inserting title and year, and then our values are a title and a year, EDM and 2000. Okay.
Oh, someone said it was 1995.
1990. Oh, we were off by 2 years. Okay, so now if we look at it, here's our table with our 2 columns. We can't look at the data yet because here we're looking at the structure of the table. So now we can talk about the select statement. So in order to select data from a table, the most simplest thing that you could write is, the most simplest statement is select. Star gives you every single column in the database table. And then you need the word from, and after from you put the name of the table. So our table's name is genre. And then there's a where condition, but it's optional. So right now, if we do select star, that's going to give you every column, and it's going to give you every record, which we only have one, so we should only see one. And here we go. We got title and year. So let's go add some more records. So in order to add multiple at a time, you just separate them with a comma. Got another example?
Oh, sorry. I was, okay, so alternative.
Here.
I don't know.
Well,
it's been around for a while.
okay, let's go with
80s, I guess, the 1980s.
Okay, let's go with that. Another one?
Reggae.
R-A-G-G-A-E.
AGGAE. And oh gosh, I don't know.
We're gonna have to guess on this one, too.
Does anyone know what year like reggae was kind of introduced? 1990.
1990.
And then let's do what we have to add in yodeling. Oh, someone said in the 60s reggae was introduced. So yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yodeling, you almost made me lose my water. How do you spell that?
Yodeling. YODELING. How long has yodeling been popular? Does anyone know that one? Forever.
Well, our table.
Someone says 1700.
Okay.
You can add 17.
I was gonna say because our table is expecting a string length 4, so. Okay, 1700. Okay, so here's our schema. Our schema hasn't changed. Again, if we look here, we still have a table with 2 columns on it. But now if we run our SQL, Now we have more data in our table.
Cool.
So, okay, so now let's look at where. When you add a where, you pick one of the columns, which we only have two. So we're gonna go with year.
1700.
And then there's many comparisons that you can do here. We'll start with equals and 1700. So that's gonna only return 1. Our one record where the year it was 1700, which was we could also do a conditional statement. So we could look at whether the year is less than or greater than or equal to a value. So I'm just gonna look at anything that's greater than 1979. And so that'll give us the two values, median and alternative.
So you use year. Have you used title?
Oh, you want to filter on title?
So let's see, maybe what other combination of where do you guys suggest we can use? What if we do where it equals or does not contain? Where not equal to?
Where title
Not equal to yodeling?
Okay, so that gives us the other three. Now you can do not equal, when you're gonna compare it to just one value, so not equal to just yodeling, you can use this. But if you want to filter for all the values that are not in a list, then you would use in or not in. And then you separate the list of what you don't want to show up by a comma. So if we want to exclude everything that's yodeling or EDM.
And someone said is like.
So if we want to look for oops. So again, we would use where, the name of the column that we want to filter on. And then when we're doing like, when we're looking for a pattern, use the keyword like. So title like, and then use this, oh, I don't know what this thing is called. What is that called?
Percentage?
Yes, use the percent sign. And you put whatever you want, the substring that you want to match. So for example, if we just want to know any title that contains the letter A in it, that's how we would write it. So then when we execute it, we only get alternative and a regular. And then if we want to look at the ones that are not like, we would just put not in front of it.
Cool.
You can further filter under the where condition. You can put several different filters. So you can filter for title and there's and or there's a couple of different ways to do that. So let's look at an and. So title doesn't contain an A and maybe does contain an M. And we should only see EDM in that case.
Someone said year between.
Year between.
We're trying to test you here.
Year between. So this is the syntax. Oh yeah, this is. Oh, is that gonna work? No, yeah. Let's see. So let's say 1700, because we have that 1700 one. So we're gonna try to filter it out now, and so that should give us everything excluding yodeling. And yeah,
there it goes. Yeah, nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna add duplicates to our data set by just copying and pasting everything again.
So what's going on? You're adding just duplicate data?
Duplicates, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That happens very frequently when you're looking at data, especially when you're looking at, everything. You're looking at names, especially.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you want to do is introduce a unique ID. So I don't know if you remember earlier when I had the bakery, my bakery create table, I did have like a customer ID or product ID, just so that you can have a unique value so that you're able to filter for the row that you're looking for. So,
so can anyone take a guess what would happen if you're going to do a statement where you're targeting one? What would happen if you're...
Are you asking me or the chat?
Oh. No, I'm asking you to word it correctly. Like, so if you're saying select from where?
So if I were to filter for yodeling right now, what would happen?
Yeah, so that's the question for the chat.
And then our column name is title.
So
and
before
we want it to equal yodeling. Right? Yodeling.
So what do you guys think will happen now? You'll get more than one record. So let's see what happens. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
And so one of the things that I wanted to show you was the keyword distinct. So when you use distinct, it literally does that. You see the distinct record. So you just get that one record.
How does it know it's distinct?
It's distinct based on all of the columns that you're looking at. So let's say we introduce an ID here. So we're going to call it daughter ID, and just call it int. It's going to be an integer type. And did I spell that right?
int, yeah.
Okay, so then now here, we're going to give each of these an ID. Then I'm putting my comments. Okay, so if I execute that, now I should have 3 columns with everything having a unique ID. And I didn't add it to my list of columns that I want to insert into. Okay, so now I'm inserting into genre table these 3 fields, and then each row is represented here with each field separated by a comma. Okay. So now if we say distinct, but we say give me all the records, you're gonna get 2 records now because we have the ID in there. Oh. Okay. So then, but if you say only give me the distinct title and year and disregard the ID, then it'll group the title and year together and give you the distinct.
So Jonathan said, why did you make duplicate records? Example, yodeling. Is this just dummy data?
Yeah, it's dummy data.
Yeah, and then G. Souza answered, it was to show the distinct function.
Yeah, that's correct. That was the fastest way to get more data in there without having to type out a bunch of stuff.
Thank you for answering that.
Maybe next time I should have data already typed out. Okay, so another thing that I wanted to show with select is this top. So you can, let's get rid of this. And then you could just say like top, you can put whatever number you want. So I'll just put top 10 and give me all the columns. Oh, we don't have 10 records in there. Okay. Top 2. And it'll give you the top 2 records in the table. Cool. You could also sort the data. So if I want to sort it, the keyword is order by. And let's say I want to order it by genre ID and have the values descending. So I should see the biggest 2 numbers show up. So that's 8 and 7. Are we really long time?
Oh, you're good.
Okay. So I'll move on to update. Okay. So update is very similar to select. Once you have select, when you're working with viewing data for analysis, once you have select kind of figured out, update and delete go hand in hand with it. It becomes easier. So let's say we want to change, let's say I misspelled yodeling, or we want to update the year for yodeling. So we want to first select it.
Should make it like year 1.
So year is the name of our field. So this should filter for our 2 yodeling records. So now that I know that only those 2 are going to show up, now I can switch it to update. If you don't do that, you could potentially update a lot of stuff that you're not wanting to update.
Okay, so first you use select to make sure you're targeting the correct data, and then you change it to update to actually update the record.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So the syntax for that is update, and then the keyword set. Then you type in the name of the field that you want to update. So did you say we want to update the year? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're going to set it equal to, you said 1?
Yeah. Someone said it's been around since forever.
So yes, year 1 would be forever.
And G. Souza said a good tip for that.
For a first look at it?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I learned that the hard way. Especially with delete. Yeah.
Delete 1,000 records.
Oh.
Maybe
because on my update, I forgot what I'm updating. So you have to put update and then the name of the table, and then set and then the name of the column. You can set several columns if you wanted to, but we're just going to show 1. Okay. So worked. And my update statement did not work. And it could be because I'm running it on this side and not this other side.
Yeah, they said try comment out the from.
Let me first check if it worked, because I really think it was because of these two windows that it has going on.
Okay.
Typically, when you're working in Microsoft SQL Server, you're running both of these in the same window. It's not separated like this.
Yeah.
But it seems like this side kind of works with the, yeah, and then this one's kind of just viewing the data. Okay, so yeah, I didn't find any records with the year 1700 because we got rid of those. At the very last statement that we're executing over here is that update statement. So we should find, fingers crossed.
There it is.
Yes.
Nice. So now we've learned how to create for entering data into a database and creating your own tables. And we learned select, so targeting data, like being able to view data, and then also how to update data.
And so now we
can the year be negative, they asked.
In this case, it can, because we just set the year to equal, our data type is just a 4-digit string. So we can put whatever four digits in there that we want. If we were to actually have a date time on the year, then yeah, you wouldn't be able to have a negative value there.
Okay, so -3 number strings. Do you know what that means? Can you year be negative?
Oh, like can we put in just 3 strings? Yeah, like let's say we wanted to put just 1 digit on there. Yeah, it's up to 4 digits. So then,
So you want to rephrase the question and answer it?
So the question is if we can have 3 digits instead of 4 on the year, and the answer is yes. You can have any number of digits up to 4. You can even leave out the value, and the value would actually be null. That's another option as well.
What about no year at all?
Yeah, so we can put one in there with a year. Oh, here, we'll just switch this one to that. So you would put null.
With that, because you have that in there, right?
No, because we have it in there twice.
Okay.
So one of the records will be updated to 1 instead of 1700, and then the other yodeling record would not have a year.
Cool.
So here we can search for the title. And then you'll see that we have, when we enter the data for yodeling, we put 1700, and then we ran an update statement that modified the year to equal 1. And on our other yodeling column, we changed it to null. So that's what we're seeing here when we look at it. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was delete. And it's similar to, so let's say you want to just get rid of both of our yodeling columns. Very important when you run delete is to have that where condition. If not, you're going to delete everything in that table, which I've also done. So now if we look for yodeling, because that very last statement deletes those records, we shouldn't see any come up. And so here's our data minus yodeling.
Cool.
So that's kind of an intro. That's what I have for intro. There are so many other topics with SQL. There's case statements, there's aggregation, so you can sum the columns, and this is good for looking for trends. Okay. Sorry about that. There's, again, we didn't cover joins, which is when you have one on one table and you want to join them together to look at data from both. So for example, with the genre, you can have another table with albums, and then you can join all the albums for each genre over and kind of do it.
Oh, so you can have like your album connected to what genre it is.
Yeah.
With two different tables using a join.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then when you're filtering, you can also filter by subqueries. So you can have a little query instead of just like a value. So we were saying where year equals and we put in a value, you could actually put a little subquery in there as well.
Oh.
SQL can get very complex. At work, my typical SQL statements are anywhere from like 200 to 500 lines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested in learning more, just say something on the chat and we can talk about maybe doing a second workshop for this. Yeah.
On the joins,
if anybody's interested in that.
Subqueries would be good. There's also views, or you can also pivot the data. So instead of having, you could take values from one row and then move it across as a column. And then on the DDL side, there's like altering tables, dropping tables, truncating. There's a lot that you can do on that side as well.
Okay, cool.
There's also stored procedures. There's a lot. This is just the most basic that I've covered today.
Cool. So any more questions for Lourdes? So she's sharing her LinkedIn right there.
So if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, here's my link. And then thank you to Women Tech Makers.
And don't get off just yet. We still have the raffle right now. Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing my screen so I can show you the raffle, and then if you are a winner, stay on so I can send you instructions on how to claim your prize.
Oh, share your screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you want to stop sharing? Okay, so. Okay, can everyone see my screen? I can't see my chat now. Okay.
Oh, maybe I could bring up the chat here. There we go.
Good job, Lourdes. So some people are definitely interested in learning more.
And the more advanced stuff. Oh.
Okay, so just so So our first prize is going to be 2 mugs from the Taste Studio. And again, they specialize in feminine custom garments for adults and children. And you can learn more about them on Instagram by following Taste Studio. And again, if you're a winner, stay on so I can show you how to, or tell you how to claim your prize. So let's shuffle this and click to spin. So let's see. First winner for that prize. Okay. Okay, now close that. And then let's shuffle it once again. And I think I just click again. Just
Does it?
Oh, there it goes.
You can win again.
Oh, you can't win twice. Alex. Oh, sorry, I didn't say it. So that's $40 to Food Fix restaurant. So thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they are in Modesto. They're in downtown Modesto. So I will send you guys both instructions on how to claim your prize. And let us know if you have any other questions. We'll be on for a little while longer. And thank you all so much for joining. Anything else you want to say?
No, just thank you. And let me know if you want to, if you want me to do another session with joins and maybe data visualization.
Okay, cool.
I'll do that as well.
All right. So I'm just gonna respond on how to. Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys so much. So everyone's saying thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So Juan was our first winner.
I'm gonna post again on the next.
What is this? Yes, we'll post the meetup for the next one. And if you want to know, Lourdes has her own meetup now called, or she might want to share that later.
Merced Devs. Barely trying to get it started. So I'm actually looking for a location in Merced. So if anyone knows of anywhere in Merced where I can host it. Oh, actually, for the next few weeks, it'll probably will have to be on an online format. So yeah. It'll be coming soon.